Focusing on my definition, my resolution has changed to being low-income neighborhoods should be supported in reaching their highest potential and abundance of green space in the form of revitalizing parks, cultivating gardens, wherever there's room, and while also acknowledging the severity of the urban density limitations of the environment. What that means, what the urban density limitations of an environment means, comparing in a city to a suburb or even a rural area that's still low income. So a city, the highest potential of their abundance of just green space may be only sidewalks and pre-existing parks and gardens and the occasional empty lot, while in the suburbs there may be more space to capitalize on in terms of realizing the potential of green space. So that means building a bigger park or revitalizing a park that's already there, but it's just bigger because there's more space and the population isn't as dense in a place like the suburbs or a rural area. And I'm conceding my point about the national parks, and that's because I think it's very important to talk about the accessibility of low-income youth in getting to national parks. Because, of course, access these national parks, they're for everybody, but it's still not going to be as easy as someone who has parents or a single parent that's working 2 jobs. It's not going to be able to bring them to a national park. Like someone who is in a higher income area and they have 2 parents and only one is working. So the other parent, they can bring them to a national park whenever they want. It's not the same, even though the access of everyone can go to a national park is the same. That's what I mean. But I'm not even going to talk about that right now. I'm going to focus on green spaces in the form, and this is for the definition of it. If I didn't cover the definition of what a green space is, a green space is a sidewalk, a garden, and a park. And when I say park, I can mean future park as well, in the form of an empty lot. Those are my 3: sidewalk, garden, park. That's a green space. And green spaces, the plan. My problem with the plan is my problem is that green spaces are not accessible for people in low income areas, and that's a problem because green spaces provide clarity of the mind, clarity of the soul. It can provide more species diversity if there's plants that need to be pollinated by bees, so bees will come to these plants, and then that in turn opens the eyes of the kids that are in these areas because they see these new animals they didn't even know existed. They see whole ecosystems revolving around trees. They see more squirrels, things like that, and that can make them interested in fields of biology and just they can be plant sciences, all these things that can help progress someone in fields of education. It all starts with just being interested in it from a young age, in a lot of ways. In a lot of instances, that's how it works. And as for my drawbacks and for like the money, where's the money coming from? The EPA is going to be funding construction for future and existing green space, which is gardens and parks. And the money is going to be coming from taxpayers as usual, but it's going to be deducted from the U.S. military budget since their budget is so large. And the EPA actually can contribute funding to just communities in the term of brownfield funding, and that can be used for just regular funding of communities or to revitalize areas that have been contaminated and things like that, things of that nature. And the green space, or the space for green use, is sidewalks, pre-existing parks and gardens, and empty lots. That's what we're going to be covering. And you said that there's not going to be a lot of spaces to convert to green spaces, and that may be true in some cases, but there's always going to be a sidewalk to plant a garden in, and there's always going to be some form of a park to just turn into a better area, to redo the grass, things like that. So there's always something that can be done, even if it's very little. The little things matter. And households won't be entirely dependent on gardens for produce. They're still gonna have to go to their food desert, to their McDonald's, the things that are around them. Might have to go farther to go to a grocery store at the moment, but at this point, it's not the sole focus to be completely dependent and reliant on these gardens. Because there's going to be gardens that just look nice, and there's also going to be gardens that are that have actual edible food in them too. And my proposal, like I said before, involves a military tax cut. Not a military tax cut, but a military budget cut, basically. So there's not going to be an additional tax for low-income residents for this. Thank you.